Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be discussing a book that was sent to me by an author, and that book being Sacrilege by Barbara Avon. Now Barbara sent me an email asking me if I would like to read and talk about this book on my channel. And usually when this happens I do the standard things. I look into the book, I look at it on Amazon, and I look at it on Goodreads. And obviously I read the synopsis of the book. Not always. Sometimes I like to go in blind and surprise myself, but that's usually what I do. And I actually replied back to Barbara, pretty sure within the first hour of me receiving her email. And that's something that I usually don't do that often. I usually sit on an email from a author for at least a couple of days to have the idea sink in and the thought of me reading their book sink in, to see whether it still intrigues me and I gel with the story or not. So I replied back to Barbara super quickly, as I had a feeling deep down that I was going to really enjoy her book as well as her writing style. But I wanted to kind of be realistic. I wanted to kind of suppress my expectations, because this has happened to me before, especially with another female author. I got super excited and I kind of put them on a kind of a pedestal, and I said, right, new favorite author, before I even read their book. And that experience with the with another female writer kind of disappointed me, so I didn't want to uh repeat history again. So before I kind of talk about it, it's going to be a more of a laid back discussion rather than a review. But this is going to be a spoiler free video, and this is going to be my own thoughts and feelings regarding this book. This story is a very simple one, as it tells the story about a man called Chris. Now, Chris is an ex-priest, and his faith has been questioned. He no longer believes in God and Jesus. Something has happened in his past that has kind of formed that wall between them. And he goes from day to day being not just angry with himself, but also angry at God and religion. So if you are kind of put off by somebody openly giving God the finger in a book, then steer clear from this. But I just want to specify right now that I am a Christian. I have got several Bibles next to my bed, two to be precise, and I have started going back to church. So if someone like me can kind of accept that, then, and not get upset by it, then yeah, take that as what you will. I'm not sure whether this is a Christian fiction book or not. I haven't read that many to kind of gauge if this is that genre or not. I'm pretty sure it isn't. But anyway, Chris is a okay guy. He's just lost his way. He's got loads of trauma from his past that we do hear about as the story goes on, and he comes across a boarding house, which I was kind of confused by that term at first, because boarding house isn't a term that is used over here in the UK anymore. As far as I can tell, from what a boarding house is, it's more or less like a massive building that was like a dorm facility for a bunch of students and young individuals back in the olden days. But my understanding about it is that it's kind of like the same thing, but it's a massive building that houses several adult individuals that are just staying there. So it's more or less like a hotel, inn, B&B, whatever you want to classify it as, hostel. It's a place where people go when there's no other place for them to go. It's more or less like a last resort. And everyone in it is like super nice, but everyone in it has like seen and experienced life and its trials and tribulations, its ups and its downs. And Chris is just passing through it, and he just happens to come across this building, and he wants to stay there for a little while. So while he's staying there, he comes across I'm pretty sure she's the owner of this establishment called Jules. Now, she is a very beautiful woman, but she's also a very reclusive person. She's a very sheltered person. She is an introvert, and like Chris, stuff that's happened to her in the past is kind of plaguing her in her present time. So both Chris and Jules have their own so-called demons that they've got to kind of confront on a daily basis and deal with on a daily basis. And gradually, these two individuals come together to kind of help them kind of get past this tragic times in their lives, and to help each other out. They have loads of stuff in common with what happened to them in the past, or their trauma that they experienced. And we discover that they both had parents that died when they were young, so that was that kind of trauma that was stuck to them. And it's somewhat a big part of the story. It's a big part of their characters. They kind of become more than friends. They become sexually involved with each other. It's a very unusual relationship. I wouldn't really call it a romance or a friends with benefits situation. It's a kind of a combination between the two, but there's no strings attached. It's just a way for them to be comforted, I guess. And as the story progresses even further, we discover why Chris turned his back on the church and stopped being a priest, and what actually happens. And it's a very, I won't say what that event was, but it's a very, very, very upsetting event. And at the start of this book, there is a disclaimer that Barbara puts in the book, stating that this story touches on stuff that might upset you. So be warned about that, especially when it comes to people being assisted in taking their own lives, and in general the kind of downside and the terrible side of life, especially when it comes to family life and relationships that you had in the past. So the ending was a very unusual ending. Again, I won't spoil it. It's one that was kind of a twist ending, sort of. I had to kind of discuss it with Barbara about what happened at the end. But when she kind of told me what happened in her mind, it kind of clicked in mine, saying, "Oh yeah, okay, you know, of course that's what happens." It was a good ending. It was a very sad ending, and this book isn't really a fast-paced book. This is a kind of a slow burn. It's very short. It's about 150-ish pages long. So it's a very slow burn. It's a very relaxing read. I had a lot of fun reading this book. I really liked the characters and their relationships with each other. I liked all the side characters that Chris was interacting with. There was a lady in a bar who was blind, and I'm pretty sure she was called Mabel, but I could be wrong about that. But she was a very, very, very sweet character, and there was also other characters that were in the boarding house as well, but they were more or less side characters. The main two that you got to worry about are Chris and Jules. The way that Barbara writes in this book, she's a very poetic writer. She's got what I call a poetic mind, and the way that she kind of words stuff is very, very interesting. Like I'm pretty sure the first sentence of this book, it describes the boarding house and how it has all this like pigeon shit down it, and it's described as the building looks like that it's weeping. It was like details like that that kind of plucked at my poetic heart. This book, even though I loved it, and I'm going to rate it a 5 stars, so 4 marks. And obviously I highly recommend it. And I believe that this book is going to be on my top 10 reads of 2025. But it's probably going to be at the bottom of the list. And this is going to be one of these books which, throughout a period of time, you will kind of forget what the story was like. But when you come across it again, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, it was a good one, and I really enjoyed it. I can't remember much about it. That's more or less my thoughts on Sacrilege. But this is a very interesting book, and it's the reason why I read stuff from small or unknown authors is that it always surprises you. Would I recommend this to you guys? Yeah, definitely. It's a real interesting, it's a very enjoyable read. I had a lot of fun reading it. My advice is to don't read it all in one go or in like a few days. Break it up into small chunks and make it last and enjoy the story. And so was I disappointed in this book by Barbara? Was I let down like I was last time? No, in fact, I'm looking at other books that I would like to read by Barbara. I believe the next one I'll be reading is Revival, so can't wait for that one. But yeah, let me know, have you read this book? If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you haven't read it before, are you interested in reading it and giving it a go? And I also want to specify that Barbara didn't feel comfortable with sending me a video clip and or a picture of herself. I always give authors the choice whether they to actually do this, because it makes it a bit more personal. Makes you guys physically be able to see the author in my video and form that connection with with them. But I think that Barbara was a bit camera shy and she didn't want to do it, which is fine. But what I will do is I will link to videos where she is doing some interviews, talking about her books, not this one, but other ones, as I feel that they will kind of do the same thing. They're both very short, they're both about 10 minutes long, so I will have them linked down below, as well as a bunch of contact information that Barbara has given me. So before I close this video, I just want to say to Barbara personally, thank you for reaching out to me. Even though this book wasn't a home run, it was a enjoyable book, and obviously I liked it because I rated it 4 marks. I do not know, honestly, I do not know whether you will be one of my new favourite authors ever, but you're definitely one of my favourite authors for this year. I will have to read more books by you, which I am super excited to do. And yeah, thank you so much for reaching out to me. It's always a pleasure to hear from authors, and yeah, don't be a stranger, message me whenever you want. That's been my video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.